So, this is it. The VZ55. The tier 10 Czech heavy tank with an autoloader with 2 rounds and a DPM gun, giving the player a true experience of taking the game into their own hands. Now, today is finally the day where Wargaming decided to release the first initial stats of this tier 10 behemoth. And just straight out of the gate, according to What Express, we will not see this tank in update 1.13 and most likely in 9.14. So my educated guess will be that in 1.13 we will see the premium tank, and in 1.14 we will see the rest of the branch, which starts off at the tier 6 tank, which is, by the way, a very nice vehicle if you never have driven it yet. So VZ55, those are the initial stats. 490 alpha, 12.5 second reload time, 260 pen, 306 with premium rounds, or 25 seconds reload time, 2.5 interclip for 980 burst. DS mobility, very low hit points, and 390 view range. Let's just dive into the different stats and compare them to the SD2, which is also kind of a two-shot autoloader itself, the 5A, and the IS-7. Especially the 5A and IS-7 will be interesting when we are comparing the base gun, the single shot DPM, which with 12.5 second reload time is 2352, which is already above what the IS-7 has to provide. I do want to point out though that the IS-7 is a very awkward tier 10 heavy tank with having, I personally would say, the best turret in tier 10. And yes, I do know that the Chieftain is existing. However, the Chieftain still has a cupola weak spot, which the IS-7 does not have. So I consider the IS-7 to be a better hold down tank. But obviously the Chieftain has 10 degrees of gun depression. Anyway, the two-shot autoloader with a burst of 980 damage in 2.5 seconds will have a DPM which is around 2048. This is obviously a little bit lower, which is, in my opinion, a very good idea and a very good balancing factor. You don't want to make both guns basically copy-paste DPM-wise. You want to give them a little bit of a difference, and I like that Wargaming says, you know what? 980 burst is strong. You're paying with a little bit of DPM and a little bit of aim time. So it feels balanced, and it should be balanced. And I'm more than happy with that. Like, it worked already with the E100. We have the 12.8 and the 15cm gun as choices. And it does look more balanced than what I could have asked for, to be honest. The thing is, though, we have to keep something in mind. Those are obviously base values. You know, 2145 DPM on the IS-7, which is rather bad. The 5A with 2600, which is one of the best DPM monsters, and the SD2 with 2256. The thing is, though, and we have to once again do an educated guess. Do you remember the Chiri? As far as I know, it's the only tank in the game which has an option between a normal gun and an autoloader, which gives the opportunity of mounting a tank gun rammer. As you can see right now, we have the autoloader gun installed. We can go in here and mount a rammer, giving us 183 additional DPM. Yes, boys. That is pretty significant, I would say. And my estimated guess is that this will probably happen with the VZ55 as well. And that we will have the opportunity to equip it with a tank gun rammer. Sure, we are going to lose something different like an HP module or optics, for example, because you do want to use a stabilizer. But this will actually make your two-shot autoload DPM better than what the SD2 has to offer. That's pretty significant, in my personal opinion. So we will see how this is going to pan out. I'm very excited for that. The thing about the gun, however, is 260 base pen. That is good. That's a very good value. 306 gold penetration on the APCR. That one doesn't spark joy. That one is a pretty bad value, meaning that you have to either load gold only or basically be very limited to your gold use. However, let's move on to the gun handling. The single shot gun, the cyclic gun, has a 2.8 second aim time, which is already one of the worst values of the three tanks right here. As you can see with the IS-7 being at 2.8, 2.9, which is slightly worse. The 5A with 2.5 and the 3 seconds of the ST2. Seriously, 2.8 second is not good. Sure, it's 490 alpha, but it's still not good. However, the cyclic gun has 3.1 second aim time. That is very, very long. That means that you have around a 4 second effective aim time. That's a big yikers, boys. That is a very, very big yikers. Both guns has a 0.4 accuracy. At least that's what we know. And the accuracy on the move is 0.16, which is bad. And the turret accuracy is 0.16 as well. The worst value, or one of the worst values as far as I know, on tier 10. I do think the Rhinoceronte is a little bit worse. But 0.16, at least this is what we have been told. Yikers. That is a big, 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 big yikers. So you are not going to be good when it comes to snapshotting. 8 degrees of gun depression, that is a value which is more than acceptable, and you will be having joy using that. Sure, it's not 10 degrees, but 8, it's A-OK. That is what I can tell you for sure. Mobility-wise, we are more than set. 50 kph top speed, 850 horsepower, giving us a 15.5 HP per ton ratio. That sparks joy. With the terrain resistances, we have a carbon copy of the 5A with having a little bit better HP per ton ratio, which is so marginal, I highly doubt you will ever feel it. Sure, it's not as good as the i7, however, the i7 does have worse soft stats. And the ST2, you know, it's an ST2, it's slow, it's cumbersome, it's blech. The turret traverse speed is 25 degrees per second, which is okay. And the hull traverse is 30 degrees per second, which is also okay. It's not heavium-like like the 5A, but it's enough. You can work with that. Let's move on to the survivability. And here we have some guesstimation to do and some problems. 2,100 hit points is one of the lowest values for tier 10. Sure, the crown goes not to the 5A or anything. It goes to the Rhinoceronte. Just real quickly have to do that right here. The Rhinoceronte only has 2,000 hit points. And I think this one is even 2,100. Also 2,100. Okay. The Rhinoceronte is the smallest one, has the smallest PP with only 2,000. Which you notice, it's not that nice to only have 2,000 hit points. Sure, I could use the HP module and then it would have 2,200 hit points. But I don't know. By the way, this thing is balanced with a 4-second intro clip with 490 alpha. The 555 is at 2.5. Again, that's kind of... Either you want to say that the Rhinoceronte got slaughtered, or you want to say that maybe the 55 is a little bit too strong in that regard. But it's hard to judge, really. It's hard to judge without having it played yourself. 150mm of upper frontplane armor doesn't really mean anything. 90mm on the side sounds okay. 300mm of turret armor sounds also very interesting. The thing is about the armor in general. We don't know if this spot right here will be properly modeled, because then it would be an upper front plate weak spot. However, the hull at this angle should be more than enough to bounce off certain rounds, most likely AP and APCR rounds. Not sure about heats, they might have enough penetration to just punch right through. I'm not sure about those plates on the side, but you can already see the cupola is rather big. The cupola really is big and it's not far back, so chances are that this tank will be fairly balanced when it comes to weak spots. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. With having this one right here as a weak spot, maybe the lower plate obviously as a weak spot, those plates over here, meaning your con side scrape, and the rather big cupola. Another thing is, though, you might say, but Raging, that thing kind of looks like a 277 turret, which I more than agree. But the thing is, the 277 turret's cupola is, in my opinion, actually a little bit smaller. It does look fairly similar when the more we look at it. Okay, let's just remove this camouflage so we have the proper look of it. And the 277 has a little added feature, which is called this stupid ass thingamajings, the sight system. It is there to make your heat rounds explode. And those heat rounds exploding leading to the fact that it will be very hard to pan the cupola, which the 55 will not have this luxury. Again, it has around 300mm of frontal turret armor. Not sure if those heat plates or those our add-on plates will be counted, and we don't know yet how they will actually look. So we have to just assume that it will be around 300 millimeters. And you can even see that this looks partially angled, meaning that we'll have a pretty decent sight in that regard. Lastly, speaking of sight, 390 meters of view range, totally okay. Sure, it's not 400 meters, but it's totally a-okay, and we should be good to go. I like the concept of the VZ55. I really do. And I have to say, on the paper, it looks fairly balanced. It really depends if this tank can mount a rammer. And, to be honest, I'd rather have a little bit longer reload time than having such poor accuracy on the move. Like, the accuracy on the move, especially during turret traverse, is horrendous. Like, I'm not a big fan of bad accuracy or bad gun handling in general. Just look me mauled in the bat chat. So, yeah. This thing looks fairly interesting. It really does. And I think that just from the paper stats at the moment, we don't need to have a fear of a Burrusque 2.0. And that's the big end. I think that Wargaming really did hit the spot in the first try, just from the paper sets. But we'll see how this tank will be performing in the super test. Maybe it will get buffed, it will get nerfed. We will see. It looks like an interesting vehicle. And with that, I want to go to the last section of the video, which is, do you have any feedback for me personally? Should I do anything better? Don't forget to subscribe to be always up to date with World of Tanks information. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you around.